Hello, everyone. Mary Esther Miranda Gilbert here, back again. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the new people dropping in. Welcome, welcome. Well, tonight I'm going to present some information about an energy drink. I call it an energy drink, and of course, their advertising is not calling it an energy drink. So this is going to be very interesting in the information that I'll be presenting to you tonight about this particular
Recording
drink.
in progress.
So I need to know. Okay, Gail, can you hear me? Okay, yeah, I see you on your cell phone and also on your computer. So I'll go ahead and continue here. There you are. All righty.
I see you. Okay.
Okay.
You're bigger. So
Okay,
that's
great.
good. Yay. Okay, I'm back.
All right, yay. Okay, everybody, this is one of my True Health Mastery Institute members, Gail. So let me go ahead and continue on here. So this week we're going to be talking about the Kratom leaf and also a formulation in a beverage called Feel Free that's creating quite a havoc out there. People are talking about, I mean, if you work in a store and you have people coming in desperately wanting this drink, then you know something is wrong. So that's how I heard about it yesterday. I was just watching another video, another person, a YouTuber online, and they were reporting that they actually had snippets of different people who worked at stores and were saying how crazy people are for wanting and demanding this drink called Feel Free.
Wow.
Normally, I don't name products, when I do my videos, but I think this is great cause for concern. When I did the research on it, this is going to give you great cause for concern too. I have covered other energy drinks before, and their ingredients are pretty bad for you and pretty horrifying. But this one I think you'll find a bit scarier, so I just had to talk about it tonight. So in this particular drink, it contains the kratom leaf and the botanical called kava. Now, I used to sell kava to my clients years ago because I think in Hawaii especially, people use kava as an alcohol substitute. It's what they call their social drink. And I had an individual come to me and say, what can I contribute to this gathering that it was like one of those gatherings where people from all over the country gather, and it was one of those health and harmony kind of gatherings, right? So I said, you might want to try the kava. So back then I hadn't quite done a lot of research on many botanicals. I went by the general literature. I hadn't really gone into the scientific literature as heavily as I do now. So over the years, I've learned that the more scientific research that you do, the more you uncover and the more credible you will be if you're teaching people, if you're turning around and taking what you're learning from here and sharing this information with others. It's very important that you go into the peer-reviewed scientific literature. So, I have a video on my YouTube channel here that shows you the difference between a credible and valid piece of information that's much more credible versus the kind of information you get in, generally when you do a general search on the internet. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. So that's the difference. All right. So anyhow, we'll go over that. And also, I'm going to go over briefly for the benefit of you public visitors here, YouTube members. I'm going to go over briefly what the body is telling you when you have a specific ailment. And I'll show you the different body systems and what the body systems do. And you can actually identify which body system is having the problem with your health, right? Your health condition. And also, one step further is the corrective nutritional protocol that you can learn how to do to help alleviate your own system. Now, I know people are just, when they want to do the natural route, the holistic route, they'll go out on the internet and they'll do their searches and they'll start taking all kinds of supplements. And I heard this about that, the different herbs or supplements that they are planning on implementing to try to fix their health problems, right? But you have to approach it from the scientific data. There's nothing more stabilizing and more effective if you go to the true scientific data. Alrighty, so we're going to cover that for the benefit of the public viewers. Now, if you aren't a member yet, it's easy to join the True Health Mastery Institute. You can go to my website, holisticchoices.com, click on the True Health Mastery link on the side there, and it'll describe all the perks and benefits you get as a member, as a private member. So once this video is turned off, that's when I delve deeply in teaching how to master your health. So these videos are serving to introduce to you out there, what it takes to master your health. There's a lot of knowledge that you need to know. There's so much misinformation. So I dive right into it. I just make a beeline to the real data that is time proven, me having been doing this for over 40 years, and my client successes. So my students and my clients and my audiences over the years have really benefited with the information that I've been able to share. And like I said before, I'm ongoing. My education is continuous. New research is always being put out there. It's there for the public to see, but you have to know how to look for it and how to find it. So, you can save a lot of time if you are a member, and that way I take that information straight to you and I answer questions. My members know they can ask me questions at any time. And because I have the benefit of years and years of research and teaching, then I can answer those questions readily. But it's much better if we are here together on this call, which is every Friday night, and I can actually answer the questions directly. And sometimes we just, I show them how to do the research and how to come up with the answers. But normally, I've been doing this for so long, I can provide answers pretty readily, but it's still fun to actually look things up and have the questions answered right then and there, right? So there's a lot to learn about the very complex human body and how to manage your health. And you don't want to just manage your health. You want to master your health so that you don't have any health ailments. You don't have to worry about when things come up. You can know where to look for the information, either, through me, or learn. What I do is teach people how to find their own information. I don't want people to necessarily have to be a member forever, but once they start learning and start branching out on their own, they are equipped with the knowledge and skills they need to truly master your health, not just manage it. Okay, so that's it for that. Let me go ahead and start information about the Kratom leaf. Now, I always put in the scientific names. These scientific names right here are always the official Latin name for a botanical, where scientists from all over the world, when they see that scientific name, they know exactly which plant they're talking about. So it's a lot of plants have a lot of variations, right? So they come in different families and species, and so some of them look exactly alike. So you want to make sure that you have the right scientific name. It might even be a slight variation, and the slight variation of that Latin name could be an entirely different plant. One could be a completely edible or botanical medicine, and another version of it in the same species could be a toxic plant. Okay, so you want to make sure you know the exact right name. That's why I always use those terms here. So now what I found when I did the research on this plant is that there are many warnings of addiction. Scientists have found over the years that this plant can be quite addictive, and because it has a lot of opiates. So I'm going to go ahead and go through my bullet points here so you can understand just what's in the kratom plant. So it has similar physiological effects to opioids. They block pain, they cause euphoria. It's a stimulant. It raises a lot of concerns about its potential for toxicity and how a person can become actually dependent on it. And then if they take it for a long period of time, they're going to be more and more addicted to it. And all of us out here, all of you out there know, we've seen what addiction looks like, right? We've seen it in the movies, and perhaps, if God forbid, you've had someone in your family who's been very, very addicted to a drug. The behavior and the desperation and the physical effects that it has, what addiction has on the body. So, there's a real concern about products containing this plant, since it contains a synergy of over 40 psychoactive phytochemical compounds known as the classification of alkaloids. Now, there are beneficial alkaloids in different plants, and there are other alkaloids that are, in different molecular configurations and attached to other molecules that make them the compound that they are. So alkaloids is a broad term. So if you see one of the if you see a botanical that's highly beneficial for your health, and the literature says that it has some alkaloids in it, notice the type of alkaloids, okay? So don't get scared of it. But this particular group of alkaloids in this particular plant, as you can see here, the different complex names that the scientists have had to, when they've discovered these compounds, they're going to name them, right? And it has to do with the molecular structure, how they string together different syllables to make this long name for these botanical compounds. All right, so those are the ones that they've been discovered to be the main alkaloids that are in this plant. And like they said, there's over 40 of them, and they do list them. And I couldn't list them all. It would make this, document too long, and everybody's eyes would cross because there's just too many long names like these, right? But these are the major ones that are found to be the most addictive. So depending on the dose and occurrence of use, the kratom plant can actually can act primarily as a stimulant, while higher doses taken more often have opioid-like effects, and also if they're taking it over a period of time. So the alkaloids in the kratom are distinct from their opioid counterparts like morphine or the semi-synthetic opioids and the endogenous ligands, which are proteins or chemicals that bind to a specific cell receptor site. Now, every one of our trillions of cells have these plasmic membranes on them, and that's where nutrients and drugs enter the cells. So we have to be very careful what we put in our bodies, because down at that minute level, things are going to affect our cells, meaning which compose all of our organs and body systems, our structures. They're all composed of cells. So we've got multiple trillions of cells, and even more multiple trillions of biochemical processes going on in the body that are keeping us alive, right? So yeah, some of them are endogenous ligands, meaning they're produced in the body. So our bodies produce their own painkillers, right? When we are in extreme pain, then the body produces some of those opioids itself in order to protect itself or protect you from experiencing excruciating pain. So this happens in accidents and things like that, right? When people get severely injured. But so let's go on here. The endogenous ligands are crucial for cell signaling, gene expression. Your genes have a certain way of directing information that occurs in the body. So those are called gene expressions. These combinations of genes have a job, to direct all these different biochemical processes in the body. So yeah, we need those endogenous ligands that are produced in the body for all of those things, and also our immune responses, how well the body protects itself. So some examples of endogenous ligands are like the bile acids that they're necessary for digesting fats in the body. We have to produce those. And then the phospholipids, which are certain types of fats that are necessary for carrying on all these biochemical processes. Like I said, multiple trillions of processes. And the body also produces steroid hormones when we exercise. Our body produces hormones. And so some of them are steroidal. So if you are weight training, men and women, our genes will determine how much muscle is built. Women just don't have the same type of hormonal configurations as men do. So if we lift heavier weights, we're not going to turn into men, So our bodies produce steroid hormones that are appropriate for our gender. Also the thyroid hormones, which regulates our weight and all kinds of other biochemical processes in the body. So our glands are extremely important for creating all of these endogenous ligands. The retinoids, retinoids meaning these are the plant chemicals that your body converts to vitamin A. So rather than taking a vitamin A supplements, if you eat a diet that's high in the plant kingdom, you're going to have plenty of these retinoids that will be converted to vitamin A as needed. So you never have to worry about the vitamin A accumulation in the liver and having toxic liver. So, there's a lot of FDA guidelines as far as these various types of nutrients that can become toxic if you're taking them in supplement form. So it's best to have whole food forms. That way your body converts it to whatever it needs as needed. And vitamin D, we go out in the sunshine, our body produces the right form of vitamin D, which is vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol. Some people do buy that as a supplement, but like I said, it's nice to have the sunshine out there, you have so many health benefits with a few minutes of exposure to the sun, on a regular basis. So our bodies are biochemical factories, and it's always going to produce what it needs if the right nutrients are present. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and look at this chart here. This is a visual, right? This is a cell membrane, one of our trillions of cells, where nutrients arrive and things get allowed inside the cell, right? So this is inside the cell. And so what we have is different types of ways that things can enter the cell. We have, now if you have a ligand and the ligand has to do work inside of our cells, then one of the ways that it accepts something into the cell environment is to just let it bend the cell membrane. And once it's encapsulated like this, it just closes it up. And then it's allowed to it's like squeezes it in and it just lets go and it does its work, right? And then also another way is diffusion. A lot of our water, our liquids and certain nutrients are allowed just by allowing the electrical potential of negative to positive or positive to negative, depending on which direction it's going. And it goes right through the cell membrane. So some things are allowed that the body determines is completely safe to do. And then the transporter, though, sometimes a protein sitting on the cell receptor site says, okay, I need to allow this to come in, but at first it needs a protein attached to it. So there's so much going on the cell surfaces that you would not believe. I mean, this is a very simplified idea of what it's like to absorb these endogenous ligands that the body produces for its own metabolism. But also, drugs and plant chemicals like the ones in this plant will also be allowed through the cell membrane. There's a lot of nutrients in plants, but there's also in some plants some potentially, problematic, addictive kind of compounds in there. So we have to know our botanicals. Be careful when you hear something, someone had some benefit from some botanical and you go out and buy it and you don't know anything about it, you haven't done your research, and it could be have adverse effects, especially if it's over time, and especially if you're taking in large amounts of it over time. So that's when it really becomes a problem. So I just wanted to show you what goes on at the cell surface. So much is going on there, and I always like to show what's happening at the cell surface, and no matter what subject we're on, it's always about what goes in your cells. And because your cells compose all your body systems, right? So we need to take care of our DNA, especially our genetic code in those cells. Okay, so without government regulatory oversight, there is the likely variation in authenticity, purity, quality, potency, and safety in Kratom product preparations. So the FDA is very picky about so many things, and it surprises me that they allowed this to be out on the market. It's been on the market for a while. I actually never even heard of this particular product. And of course, I steered people away from addictive plants. So I didn't realize there was actually a beverage out there for people. Normally it's sold only to people over 21 years of age, but apparently from some of the stories that I was looking at yesterday, there are some people who are underage that are actually getting a hold of these things. They hang out at stores, instead of asking them to buy them alcohol, hey, can you buy me some of this drink, right? And so that's when it's a problem. It's a real problem. It's not even alcohol, right? That's, to me, that's dangerous. So anyway, we need to make sure that the FDA we need to be more involved with what our government is doing. We need to have this oversight over our own government so that we can steer them to the right place, the right decisions. Okay, so I know there's a lot of influence. It's a political thing. It's a financial influence too, with non-governmental organizations having quite a bit of influence over everything, food production and everything. Actually, I'm not going to even go there. That's another video. Okay, so now without government regulatory oversight, there's a likely variation of all these things going wrong, of not producing a product that's not only safe, but it could be contaminated with other things, right? How well do these companies that are producing these products, how well do they screen the ingredients? So now reportedly, Kratom products can be adulterated by increasing levels of this chemical alkaloid that I mentioned earlier. It's called mitragynine alkaloid to enhance potency. So they're adding this particular dangerous addictive compound to many of the kratom products that are out there. So the addition of synthetic substances, they're making them in the laboratory, phenylethylamine or O-desmethyl tramadol. So you kind of have to break the words apart so that you can pronounce them. So once you start doing that, then you'll be able to pronounce these terms. And there's always accents on different syllables, of course. And so when I first pronounce words, I can pronounce them, and then I can repeat it and fix it where the right syllables are. So anyhow, that takes practice, but you're not expected to do that. Just make sure that you follow the scientific guidelines so that you know whatever you're putting in your body is going to be safe, especially if you're aware of younger people, doing it indiscriminately, right? So the National Poison Data System and New York City office of the Chief Medical Examiner identified a range of symptoms associated with kratom toxicity. So it causes agitation, tachycardia, increased rapid heart rate, drowsiness, confusion, seizures, hallucinations, and even coma. So of course, it's going to vary from product to product, and it's going to be determined by how often a person downs this product or takes this product, and of course they're already health issues if they already have health issues. So it depends on a lot of things. So again, picking on one product and not necessarily saying it's the only product that's bad out there, but this is the label of this particular product. So as you can see, for some reason they added iron in there. How nice of them, big deal. And it's probably the wrong kind of iron, the non-absorbable iron that can maybe accumulate in the liver if you're taking in an elemental iron. So they don't list what molecular configuration this iron is. So it's probably not a good idea. Kava root, so they list the cavalactones, one of the biochemicals in kava root, 260 milligrams. That's quite a lot, the leaf kratom, so they list the alkaloids, 34 milligrams, and the mitragynine, which they add, in addition to what's already present in the plant, and another form of the mitragynine. I have to look up the pronunciation of that. I'm sorry, I didn't do that. But so that's what it is. And it's a very potent drink. You can understand why people would get addicted to it. Okay, so now they even have a warning on the label. This product contains leaf kratom, which, like caffeine and alcohol, can become habit-forming and harmful to your health if consumed irresponsibly. Consider avoiding any potentially habit-forming substances if you have a history of substance abuse. If consumed in recommended quantities, Feel Free Classic has not been shown to cause any serious physical or social harm. Now, that is untrue. That is in direct contradiction to the scientific literature, which I list all the references on this document. If you're a member, you'll have free access to this document. Member of the True Health Mastery Institute, that is. So here's another caution. This product is not for consumption by or sale to persons under the age of 21. This product may interact with certain medications or substances. Consult a qualified healthcare professional prior to use. Do not consume or mix with excessive alcohol. This product is not intended for pregnant or nursing women or persons who are sensitive to the active ingredients. So they think they're just, separating themselves from the responsibility of the consequences of people who are taking this product. And I can imagine that they might be having some pretty bad lawsuits, but if they're making $1 million a day on this product, they can probably just settle out of court and toss people, a couple $100,000 and they're done. This is what we need to change in our country. We need to stop this kind of behavior that corporations are doing to us, doing to our children. Okay. So here's some historical use of the kratom leaf. It's been used for centuries in Southeast Asia. It's been used by responsible practitioners as medicine for pain management. They're not going to be giving it to their patients on large dosages or for a long period of time, and improving energy. And that's a mistake too, because the energy production cycle in our cells requires glucose, requires minerals and vitamins. Okay, vitamin complexes from whole plants. So you can't take a synthetic vitamin from any supplement that you buy on the shelf in the on the market. So we have to do things in whole food form, and the whole plant foods are full of these wonderful counterbalancing phytonutrient compounds that would counter any kind of toxin that's in the body. They're great detoxifiers. You know, the healthy plant food kingdom is great for that. So I'm a huge advocate for the plant kingdom of edible foods, right? And botanical medicines, things like that. So, so that they were using it to help improve energy. And I'm not sure if they understood the difference between making the nervous system fire, you know, very rapidly until it stops, and then there's like a crash. You know, a person gets exhausted from having their nervous system stimulated like that so rapidly, and aiding in with the withdrawal from opium. So they've used it with the idea that, okay, if this person is addicted to a drug, then the use of this plant may help wean them off of that. And there's actually not very much scientific data that proves that. There's a couple of studies out there that aren't very credible that I found. So more research obviously needs to be done to prove this assertion, right? So typically they brew it as a tea or the leaves are chewed. Global interest rapidly grows in response to opioid epidemic. So yeah, people are searching for ways to take people off these opioids. And all I can say is, you know, well, medical industry, stop prescribing opioids to your patients. Then there won't be that problem. There's so many other ways to heal the body. And that's what this institute is all about, doing that research and getting that information out there to everyone. So now there's regulations and legalities. Like I said, it's not approved for therapeutic use by the US FDA. It's banned in several states and some cities and states where it is legal. So I'm going to show you this map. And if you highlight it with your mouse, or I guess it was oh, it's not finished loading yet. And for some reason, it's not highlighting. It's like they turned it off or something. What's going on here? So when I was doing the research on it, I was able to highlight, and it would tell you, oh, here it is. So in California, it's not working like it was. Of course not, now that everyone's watching. Oh dear. But anyhow, if you go on this website, you can maybe have it activated again. I don't know why it's not doing it right now, but it was showing me what cities in these states actually have banned it or allowed it. So just because a state is highlighted in a certain way doesn't mean that the whole state either banned it or allows it. So, you know, that's unfortunate here. Maybe I clicked here. Oh, that's what happened. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. I used to live in California. I don't know how many of you out there in California, but it says it's legal except in the city of San Diego and the city of Oceanside. So, you know, they talk about the ordinances that were passed and whatnot. Gail, what state do you live in? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to hear you. Like if you move closer to the mic, I think your voice is louder.
Okay, let's see here. I turn it up to 100. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, let me do that. So what state do you live in, Gail?
Georgia.
All right, that's right. You're in Georgia, like Dr. St. Clair is.
It's
Okay, so the
legal.
Kratom, it was
Wow.
there was an act that was passed in Georgia. 2023 ban bills were defeated. So modifications to KCPA included challenging the age from 18 to 21. So that's pretty much all it says about Georgia. So apparently it's still being sold in Georgia, and they decided to change it from age 18 to 21 and other modifications. So, I mean, you know, you can go all over the place. Arizona, where I live. So it was banned here in Arizona. Kratom Consumer Protect Act passed in 2019. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, you can get a lot out of this one website, you know. If you're not a member, then you can always just do a search on it, you know, regulations and legalities
Sure.
concerning the Kratom. leaf. And you can probably find your information that way too. So the FDA supports research for kratom-derived pharmaceutical development among concerns of product consistency and purity. So apparently there's some research still going on out there, and I did find quite a bit of research that's been done on this. So globally, you know, we can look at, it's been legal with restrictions in Canada, United Kingdom, and Germany, probably much the same way in the United States. It's entirely prohibited in Australia and several European Union countries. It's permitted but unregulated in Indonesia and Malaysia, you know. So there's a lot of reports of positive experiences, other safety and health concerns, like even though people are using it responsibly, I suppose, right? There's people out there who understand the dangers and so use it responsibly. But also there's the concern of heavy metal contamination, bacteria, you know, pharmaceutical adulterants. Whatever company chooses to do with this product containing this botanical is just out there, you know, and the neonatal abstinence syndrome in infants from maternal use. So this is going to affect your baby if you're pregnant or nursing. So I'm hoping people are not doing this out there. A call for consumer education, quality control standards responsible for regulation by public health authorities is urgently needed. And this is a group of scientists that have concluded this, among others. So real briefly, I'm going to go over the other ingredient. And like I said earlier, I tried this a few times and it made me very sleepy. And I did further research on it and I thought, well, no wonder, look at all these compounds in it. That's actually like you might as well take a sleeping pill. That's how it affects people. And I mean, my friend used to take it whenever he had these gatherings, right? He would make this huge vat of it. And I don't know how diluted it was, but it was a whole 16-ounce bag. And he would cook it all up for everyone, right? And pass it around. So I don't know if everybody fell asleep or what's going on, but I mean, it doesn't affect you right away, but if you take it on a regular basis, then it's going to build up in the system and it's going to cause overwhelming desire to sleep, okay? So yeah, that's not a good experience. So before rules of standardization were formed for kava, there's been reported cases around the world that indicated that it was injurious to the liver, toxic to the liver. And as with any botanical, the effectiveness or adverse effects depend on the quality and potency. Again, we have to make sure that we are getting quality products. That's why I always stick to the organics. There's a greater chance of you receiving a clean, pure, well supervised production of a product when you have an organic version of things. If they're not organic, you don't know the sources, you don't know if they've been sprayed with pesticides, you don't know if the ending product is the result of, some kind of adulteration or lack of quality control. You don't know what you're getting. So other cases of individuals consuming kava at over the maximum daily recommended dose and over a prolonged period of time, more than 3 months up to 2 years, as reported by the World Health Organization, it indicated adverse effects on the liver, hepatotoxicity, hepato meaning liver, hepatitis, inflammation of the liver, and even liver failure. So biochemicals in kava are considered as a potential for liver toxicity after all that research and all the clinical reports, right? So these are the alkaloids that are in kava, the piperidine and the pipermethysine, and also the flavokaine B. So again, scientists have to name all these biochemicals, and what criteria they use to name these really long names in these biochemical compounds in the plant kingdom is beyond me. I know it has to do with the molecular structure. Okay, so it has been shown that ceasing to ingest kava reverses conditions that arise from its prolonged and heavy use. So if you're taking something like this, usually the plant kingdom is like that, even if it's a toxic plant, unless it's an extremely dangerous toxic plant, right? You don't want to ingest those at all. But something like these, where, in different countries it's been used responsibly, then there's always still going to be some kind of effects if a person keeps using it and exposing their bodies to these alkaloids that can be addictive. So also they came up with skin problems, systemic dermatitis, so rashes that form everywhere in the body, and erythema, resulting in a spreading rash like dry, scaly, yellow discoloration on the neck, the arms, the breast, and other body areas. Other common side effects include gastrointestinal discomfort, headaches, and nausea. But it's all of this, according to the science research, says it's reversible when the use of kava is ceased. Okay. So yeah, drink plenty of water. And, if you start feeling any effects, if you've been using a botanical for too long and you start feeling effects, just stop using it and just go on and take other foods that are very detoxifying and drink plenty of water, and your system will correct itself, hopefully. All right. So we don't want anything to mess with the liver. It's a very vital organ. Okay, so let's move on to the second subjects. Now, people out there, again, I urge you to, if you want to try to master your health and get the right information and master that health in the most direct way, I have the research behind me, and I'm continuing with the research, and I'm sharing this information as far and widely as I can. And so that's why I started the Institute. I want people to have the right information. There's so much disinformation out there. It's leading you all the wrong paths. And so I have, clients, their health improvement, their health recoveries are because of my Nutritional Synergy system, that when they apply it, they're eating all the right foods. They're getting completely and correctly nourished. And so, I wanted to take that a step further and create this institute to provide this kind of information that I used to give to my clients one-on-one. And there was never enough time to give them all of this information, right? Every single week, there's something new to share with everyone. And how can I possibly teach that one-on-one to one individual when they visited my office when I had my practice in Northern California before I retired it? But this is kind of the way I see that it's so vital for you to get this information out there and start applying it in your lives and changing your health, transforming your health and changing your lives. It's so amazing. I've seen this happen over and over again. When the results match the science, it's because the science is the one that provided the information to provide the results. So, it's a nice little cycle to get into. So here are the different body organ systems. So we've got the digestive, the muscular, the skin and the hair and the nails, which is the integumentary, the lymphatic system, your other circulatory system that generates the immune cells, the endocrine system, all of your glands that produce the hormones, the nervous system, of course, that information highway, that's the electrical highway that's, always delivering transmissions to every single one of our electrical cells and our electrical bodies. The skeletal system, the reproductive systems, and the respiratory system, the urinary system, and the circulatory system, which means it includes the heart and all of your blood vessels. So these are the different organ systems that are affected when people have health issues. Okay, so real quick, just to explain what is consisted in the major body system. So when you have the circulatory system, we're talking about the heart, oxygen distribution, the blood and the blood plasma, all the different components of our blood, and nutrient delivery, and distributing the white blood cells that the body makes, the antibody distribution, attacking things that don't belong in the body. So that form of our immune system is very important. So that all gets distributed through the blood in the circulatory system. The structure of the blood vessels is very important, so you don't have blocked arteries or forming plaques and damage your blood vessels, which puts you in complete danger of having a heart attack or a stroke. So these are the arteries and the veins and the tiny capillaries. Circulatory system, circulation, how well does your body distribute all of these oxygenation and the nutrients throughout every single, to the very ends of your capillaries and every single part of your body. Your blood pressure is also regulated, as well as the kidneys. The kidneys are very important in regulating blood pressure as well. Oxygen and nutrient circulation. And so also getting rid of toxins and metabolic wastes. Your cells get old, your body gets rid of them, forms new cells. Or when you digest your food, you're going to have the eliminative channels too. Anything that doesn't belong in the body gets eliminated one way or the other. So these are the eliminative channels, and the circulatory system is a great way to process everything out of the body that doesn't belong there. Controls clotting. So our blood vessels are a lot smarter than we realize. they have these little control mechanisms in there, and they communicate with the nervous system and the hormonal system. So every cell in our body is always in communication. So, and also, depends on what you put in your body. It's going to determine whether you're in an acidic condition or in an alkaline condition. You want to be right in the middle. You want to have your acid alkaline balanced. And with my nutritional synergy system, it automatically puts you there. You don't have to worry, is this going to be an acidic food or an alkaline food or what? But, basically the plant kingdom, and balancing that out with the proper other nutrients, the proteins, the fats, and the carbohydrates kind of thing. So anyway, that's the circulatory system. So if you have any health issues there, then the nutrients that are required to maintain the system is what this is all about. So you have to know what nutrients match the maintenance and prevention of health issues in each one of these systems, okay? So the digestive system, of course, and you digest your food, the nutrients enter our cells, and energy is produced at the cell level. And then you've got the mouth, of course, you have to eat. The salivary enzymes are the first part of digestion, goes down the esophagus, goes into the stomach. Your stomach acids and digestive enzymes in your food will help break down the food so that's small enough to fit into the small intestine. It has to go through the duodenum first, and that's where the bile and the pancreatic enzymes are further digesting and breaking down your huge molecules of food so that you can get them down to the micronutrients you need in order to enter our cells, which is where everything happens, right? Our health and the disease process, everything happens at the microcell level. Also, catabolism, your body's going to break those foods down to the nutrient level. So the small intestine, after it leaves the stomach, that's another further digestive system process that happens, more enzymes, more acids, and foods further broken down. In the meantime, in the intestines, you're absorbing nutrients. And also, finally, the waste elimination goes inside the intestine, the large intestine, and out the door, right? So then we've got the digestive accessory organs, the gallbladder, which produces the bile and also stores it for future use, right? The liver produces the bile for fat digestion, cholesterol production, and storage and detoxification. The pancreas, it has to do with your blood sugar regulation, and it secretes the hormone insulin or glucagon, depending on which level your blood sugar is. And then the digestive enzyme production. So the digestive system, if you have any problems with those, there are ways to fix that too. So they don't call me the nutritional healer for nothing. All of the science that I've applied to my clients and students and audiences in my books through the years, it's actually, I've got this reputation of, go to her, she can fix anything. It's not me that's doing it, it's your body that's doing it when you give it the right molecules, the right types of foods, and the right configurations. Alrighty, so now the endocrine system, your glands, if you're having hormonal issues, if you're having weight issues, then you might want to pay attention to the types of foods that will address the needs of your endocrine system. So, it has to do with, how the hormones will regulate your moods, your response to stress. If you're well nourished, your response to stress is going to be much more calm and less chaotic, right? Your growth and development, of course, people who are growing and developing, their glandular system gets mature enough, they reach a certain height and weight, and so their body's going to be changing, right? Metabolism, your body will either build something or break things down. Anabolism is to build, catabolism is to break down. The immune system is very important for regulating the glandular system, or the glandular system is also important for regulating the immune system. They have a direct communication with each other at all times. So if your immune system is suffering, you're going to have problems with your glands. If you're eating the wrong foods, you're going to have problems with your glands, and therefore your immune system is going to suffer. And also, of course, the glands produce the reproductive organs, and it'll determine your level of fertility. And even sexual function, and they help regulate your sleep, your appetite, even your blood pressure, your body temperature, and it's always monitoring for injuries, and it's regulating all the healing processes that occur. So the glands are very important for producing the hormones that communicate with the nervous system. Okay, so now you've got the immune cells, and that's something that's not really considered a main part of the different main systems in the body, but the different systems will produce different immune cells. So that's why it's important to include these in here. So now most of our white blood cells are immune cells. are formed in the bone marrow, starting out with stem cells that are produced in the bone marrow. And from them, they diversify to the different types of cells that the body needs. So yeah, it's distributed to other immune cell producing sites, like the antibodies that are produced by the white blood cells, the complement, which is the reactive plasma proteins produced by the liver and other cell types. The inflammatory response is important too. That's always a detection, policing kind of thing that the hormones do. And the white blood cells, they're produced in bone marrow, the lymph nodes, the skin, the spleen, and the thymus gland. So if you don't know these terms for the different areas of your body, do get to know them. It's so important, especially if something happens to you and you have to go see your physician and your physician's talking over your head because they're using all these medical terms. It's important to know these terms so that you can have an intelligent, informed conversation with a practitioner. So we've got the phagocytes that eat up things. If something doesn't belong in the body, then the phagocytes will get to work and just disassemble it and take it apart. The killer T cells will go in and just annihilate things too. That if you've got a cancer cell that's forming in the body, these two different types of immune cells will destroy things immediately. But if you're not well nourished and you've been exposed to toxic chemicals, or if you've been ingesting toxic chemicals, there's so many factors that that end up causing the mutations when our cells are replicating themselves and transferring the DNA from the mother cell to newly forming cells. Our bodies are always turning over to new cells. So we don't want that to go wrong. So that, again, the nutritional synergy system will ensure that you're getting the anti-cancer foods, that will prevent that. So anyhow, the immune system also directs the healing of damaged or injured tissues, including blood vessels and clotting. Okay, so let's go over the organs of the immune system real quickly. They're in the tonsils, in the adenoids. They're in the lymph nodes. Actually, lymph nodes are all over the body. As you can see, there's various areas in the body where lymph nodes are concentrated. And then we've got the thymus gland and the spleen and the Peyer's patches in the intestines. More lymph nodes and lymph vessels in there too, and also in the bone marrow. So this is where your body produces immune cells, but they all start in the bone marrow with those stem cells that direct where the cells need to be produced and vary themselves so that they can address different areas in the body. So yeah, without the stem cells in the bone marrow, then we wouldn't be able to deliver information to the other organs of the immune system. So now we've got the skin, that's also a gland. It's the largest gland in the body. So we've got the exocrine glands, the secretions that the body has, the sweat, the salivary, sebaceous, which is on the skin surface. Your bodies produce oils, the mammary glands, and the mucus. Mucus is very important. It protects you from all kinds of things. Then we've got the sensory organs, detection of pain and temperature and touch. And of course, there's the hair and the nails. So if you're suffering from any health issues in these areas, then there's things you need to do there too. All right, so lymphatic, the lymph fluids, they carry those immune cells throughout the system. The lymph nodes you don't want to eat the wrong foods to clog those little nodes up. They have their own little circulatory pathways inside each node, and you don't want to block those up. Lymph vessels and circulation. So we've got also the spleen, also has to do with the lymphatic system, and the thymus gland, the tonsils and the adenoids. We just saw that diagram, the Peyer's patches, and the tissue drainage, maintaining the body fluid levels, the immune responses against foreign invaders, and transporting fats and absorbing those fatty acids at the cell sites, and the activation of immune cells, and removing cellular waste and toxins. So the lymphatic system is one of our detoxification systems in the body. So now we're almost, we've got a few to go here, but I'm hoping you're finding this interesting and intriguing, because if you do have health issues in any of these systems, there's a way to fix it. The only way the body knows how to repair these mechanisms at the cell level is if you're providing it with the right molecular structures, and that means the right types of foods, unprocessed, unaltered, nutrient-rich foods. Okay, so we have got the muscular system, cardiac muscles, the smooth, non-striated muscles in the heart, the skeletal muscles, which are the striated muscle cells, and the skeletal tissues like the ligaments and the cartilage and all these other connective tissues, the tendons, and how well your body can move your muscles, full range of motion, muscle contractions, and allowing your body to move freely. Moving oxygen throughout the body, it cleans out cellular wastes. So the muscles are very important for helping the body to detoxify, especially if you drink enough, purified spring water. Not tap water. Please do not drink the tap water. There's a whole nother video on this channel about the toxins out of your tap water. And it doesn't matter what city you're living in and where you are in the world. We have to, as humanity, as human beings on this planet, we have to take steps to try to remedy this, to clean our water sources. Okay, enough of that for now, but there is another video on this very subject, so please check it out. Okay, so the nervous system, our brain and our central nervous system, all the nerves that travel, that are present, that send these transmissions to every single corner of your body. The brain, and the spinal cord, even your eyesight is directed by the nervous system. Then we've got the peripheral nervous system, where all these nerve networks extend to and communicate with all parts of the body. And that includes the senses, hearing, sight, smell, taste, and touch. Nerve signal transmissions controlling all the voluntary movements and involuntary processes. I mean, we can go to sleep and our bodies will still digest our food. Our heart will keep beating, and our lungs will keep contracting and receiving oxygen. So that's the peripheral or parasympathetic peripheral nervous system. So then we've got the nervous system works with the hypothalamus, and this is the gland that regulates your body temperature. And again, any health issues related to this, it can be resolved, because all you have to do is correct what went wrong. And it's, I would say, with my experience, 99% of the problems of people's health issues out there are because they haven't been providing their bodies with the right molecules, the right nutrients, the right types of foods. So then we've got the respiratory system that includes the lungs, your inhalation, your exhalation, the bronchi, the bronchioles, the alveoli. Our lungs are like a tree. We've got these, branches going out, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller. And the way we actually utilize oxygen in the body is when the air reaches the alveoli, little tiny microscopic clusters. They look like grape clusters. There's an exchange of oxygen there, and it's just a little gap that if those alveoli are damaged, then you will suffocate to death. So we have to maintain the circulatory system so that these little pathways are maintained properly, so that the air can get way down deep, so you can breathe more deeply and oxygenate your brain and all of your cells. Blood vessels, the mouth, the nose, the voice box, the throat, the trachea. So we are actually eliminating waste gases from the blood whenever we exhale. We inhale and we exhale. So we're taking in oxygen, which is supposed to, nourish our bodies, deliver oxygen. And also when we exhale, we're expelling the residual, toxic carbon dioxide. So it's just a biochemical thing that takes place. So then we've got the buffers and adjustments of our acid-alkaline balance. So even our breathing can affect that pH in your body as well. So exercise is very, very important. Getting out into the fresh air, under the sunshine, and just enjoying, what it's like to be outdoors, interacting with nature. And there's a whole nother subject too that has to do with breathing in the essential oils that the plants and the trees out in nature will just, they're always exuding these essential oils into the air. So if you're in a forest, you're inhaling these very, very beneficial essential oil compounds that are being, expelled out into the air constantly with these foliage. So that's important too. They're antimicrobials. If anybody has ever used essential oils, that they can eliminate all sorts of health ailments as well, because of the plant compounds and how well they're distributed and how well they help oxygenate the system. Alrighty, so skeletal, we have to maintain our bones. If your bones are becoming deteriorated, then you're going to be weak and more prone to injury. And if it affects how your body produces your red and white blood cells, you're going to be anemic, you're going to have immune system problems, and you're going to not be able to maintain the skeletal muscles. There's a whole cascade effect that happens when your bones start to deteriorate. That's why exercise is so, so very important, and so is sunshine. Joints, teeth, connective tissue, there's the cartilage, the ligaments, the tendons again. storage of minerals and fats and even the negatively charged particles that are so very important for stimulating all of these biochemical processes. They're important to maintain in the diet so that you can have stronger bones as well. And it affects the endocrine function and regulation too. So our skeletal, our bones, they're living tissues, and the marrow especially is communicating with other areas of the body, and it helps regulate. So when you have osteoporosis, or if you're starting to have a curved spine, then you need to pay attention to just reversing that by exercising, getting sunshine, eating the right foods, getting the minerals that are in foods too, not just any elemental minerals that you get from a cheap supplement somewhere that only has a few token minerals that aren't absorbable anyway and can cause inflammation in the system, especially the kidneys. So you want whole food, nutrient-rich, organic, type of mineral-rich foods. So yeah, they affect how the glands work, especially the thymus gland and the parathyroid glands. Those are directly involved in regulating body weight. So we've got the protecting internal organs against injury on impact. So the skeletal system kind of props everybody up and holds everything together, right? Without the skeletal system, we'd just be a gelatinous mass of protoplasm, probably. Okay, so now we've got the urinary system. You've got to drink plenty of water and flush those kidneys out. Those intricate pathways that are in the kidneys are so important. You don't want to stop them up. You don't want to cause, bladder infections or bacterial buildup and things like that that can cause very painful urination. But also, you can form kidney stones, right, made out of the calcium that gets dysregulated and moved around incorrectly in the body. So you have to be able to utilize your minerals properly in your body. So if you're having kidney stones, then there's absolutely a way you can dissolve those kidneys. Right now, I'll tell you just right off the bat, mangosteen, whole fruit mangosteen, is known to dissolve kidneys. I have the science, I have the scientific literature. It's in my book, all about the mangosteen fruit. So the rind, or the pericarp, is the key to the specific compounds called xanthones that will dissolve kidney stones. And there's plenty of scientific literature. Some plants have been studied for 100 years, and the mangosteen plant is definitely one of them. This is Garcinia mangostana, by the way. So there's other Garcinia plants out there, but this is the mangosteen fruit, Garcinia mangostana. So if you have kidney stones out there, drink plenty of water, quit the sodas, quit the coffee, drink nothing but purified spring water, and mangosteen. If you can buy it by the powder, and they also sell it by the juice, but make sure it has the pericarp or the rind in the drink, okay, when you buy that drink, and that way it'll help dissolve kidney stones. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. With 2 people had kidney stones, and it was dissolved that way. Okay, and then actually 3 people. I forgot about my other friend. 2 of my friends I had to take to the hospital. And talk about hearing grown men cry. These are extremely painful things to have it stuck inside your circulatory system, in the urinary system. All right, enough of that for now. There's a little freebie out there for you, just a taste of the kind of knowledge that my Institute members can get access to all the time. Okay, so of course you have to maintain your bladder, your ureters, if you're a man, your urethra, the renal pelvis, which is part of the kidneys, blood pressure control. So if you have high blood pressure, then you have to pay attention to the functioning of your kidneys. And again, drinking the right fluids, and cutting all the synthetics and the dyes and the other things that will irritate your kidneys. So the kidneys also control your calcium levels, your phosphorus levels. Those are 2 very important elements. Your electrolyte balance. Without your electrolyte balance, a person could die. It could stop the heart if they're not getting a nutrient, mineral-rich, whole food diet from the plant kingdom. Of course, plants have to be grown in nutrient-rich environments, so that's why the organic industry is so important for maintaining the soils of our ecosystems to produce very nutrient-rich foods, very mineral-rich foods. So anyway, it controls red blood cell production as well, so it has a hand in that too. And of course, it removes waste. So including your medicines, there's a lot of things that get moved through the kidneys. You'd be surprised. Your urine should be straw colored and odorless. If it's stronger, darker color, or if it has an odor, then step up that water intake and cut out all the junk. cut out all the sodas. Your body can't use it. It's not nourishing. It's not food. Okay. All right. And also it's very important for helping to adjust your pH balance. Okay. So as usual, I always include the scientific literature. So again, if you are a member, you will have access to these wonderful peer-reviewed studies, many studies gathered together where a very highly qualified panel will gather sometimes thousands of studies and weed them out and provide you with the most credible types of studies that are out there. So that's what I deal with. You know, I only look at the peer-reviewed studies. So my book is in there too, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, because I did months and months of research for 109 botanicals. And so you'll get very detailed, science-backed information about the health benefits of the botanicals in this book. Okay, so again, all these other wonderful scientific research articles. So here are some of my books that I've written, and these are all very, very purposefully written so that when you have the entire library, then you have everything you need to improve your health. Some people just want the advice, and that's why I started the Institute. People don't always have time to sit down and read, but if you buy the ebook, you can just skim through it and jump around however you want. The physical book, though, people sometimes like to hold that physical copy in their hands, right? Add it to their library. But anyhow, that's important there too. So let me just go ahead and do that. Okay, now you can find me on Rumble. Everything I post on YouTube is supposed to be transferred over to Rumble, but not everything is there on Rumble. I have to figure out why. But if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is free, of course, then you can get all the 119 so far videos that I have made in order to provide this kind of information to the public. And you can only imagine how much more information is provided to my members. All right, and so you can become a member by going to my website, and let me just show you a quick picture of it, and just click on True Health Mastery Institute. It's already there. And so this will give you an idea of the perks and the idea of what the membership or the institute is all about. And if you want to join, you can just click the join here button, and it'll take you to the enrollment area. And it's $12.97 a month. I will be when I produce the nutritional healing protocols for individual health conditions, then the members get a very big discount to those protocols. So they're going to be only $39 for the members, and the public is going to, the public, which I'm going to market to holistic practitioners, medical, people, and just the public who are keenly interested in knowing how to alleviate their health conditions with various conditions that they have. So that's going to be $197. So it's worth it because it's months of research into one protocol, but the members can get the same protocol for $39. Okay, so some of them will be in ebook form, and some of them will be in hard copy form, and some of them will be in both. I'm going to try to get them both in ebook and hard copy form for everyone. So anyway, to learn more about the Institute, you can just read all about it here, and I look forward to meeting you if you're interested in joining. So it's very easy to join, and it's $12.97 a month. It's very worth your while, I think, to invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge, take the time to do it, because if you don't, and your body suddenly seems like a health condition pops up from nowhere, actually it's been happening for a very long time. Your body is very good at trying to maintain its homeostasis and try to protect itself, but pretty soon it's going to run out of resources, and especially over time, the older you get, the more accelerated the degenerative process becomes. So you can avoid all of that. Nourish yourself properly, become an Institute member. And I just love interacting with my members and answering their questions. We meet every Friday, so this is a great thing here. What I'm going to do now that the video is going to be turned off is I'm going to go over for the benefit of my members to just find out what ailments they want to talk about, and create a healing protocol right then and there for them. It won't be as in-depth as the booklets or the books that I'm writing for each protocol, but it'll be a great start, until I get those protocols done for people. So, I mean, if you have a skin disorder, I can tell you what foods to eat, what foods to stay away from. I can tell if people have health conditions in any one of these systems, I know what they've been doing wrong. Okay. I know what they've been putting in their bodies and what caused this deterioration process. So, so this is, years and years of research and years of seeing the results that match the science. Okay, with that, I am going to go ahead and say goodnight to the public out there. And I hope you remember to like, and if you want to share this information with people you care about, it's so important. And also it gets the video out to more people that way too. And if you want to be notified every time I produce a video, lately it's been every week, then you'll be notified whenever, so tap that notification bell as well. All the links that you will need for further information will be in the description box by the time you see this video. Okay, so with that, I will say goodnight to everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.